Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Harriet, and this is a complete recap of the adventures of Tom Hardy's Venom thus far, giving you everything you need to know before going into the third and final chapter, Venom: The Last Dance. So we're going to recap the first Venom film, as well as its sequel, Venom: Let There Be Carnage, and then we'll get into Venom's appearances in the MCU. Kind of.
What is happening? No, we just got here. No, not again.
But before we get rolling, I want to show you guys this great Venom-inspired merch we have for sale right now in our merch store, ScreenCrushMerch.com. We've got the big guy in jeans, aka Denim.
Jeez, person.
I know, I'm very sorry. We also have this Dirty Dancing inspired design with Eddie holding Venom up in the air, and of course, we have the My Little Venom pony, and of course, the Bully. Shopping our merch store is the best way to support our channel so we can keep making videos like this one for you guys. Thanks so much for your support. Links are below. So let's meet investigative journalist Eddie Brock.
You don't wind up at the bottom of a landfill due to natural causes, so it seems that the city doesn't care about these people any more than the killer does.
When reading classified documents that belong to his fiancée, attorney Ann Wayne, he discovers an ugly truth about a corporation called the Life Foundation. The Life Foundation has discovered a meteorite covered in alien life forms called symbiotes.
Symbiotes.
You're right, symbiotes. These are slimy entities that latch onto their host and feed on them from within.
These creatures need to bond with a respiratory host in order to survive for any amount of time in an oxygen-rich environment.
The Life Foundation probe attempts to return to Earth with 4 symbionts, but one escapes and causes the ship to crash. So this symbiont is later revealed to be called Riot. 3 symbionts are recaptured and taken to the lab to be studied. There they learn that the symbionts need an oxygen-breathing host in order to survive on Earth, but the host usually can't survive symbiosis for very long. At the lab, they are conducting human trials and experimentations using the symbionts. When Eddie learns about these human trials, he confronts the Foundation.
You recruit the most vulnerable of us to volunteer for tests that more often than not end up killing people.
Eddie and his fiancée both wind up losing their jobs as a result.
What you did got me fired. You used me.
6 months pass, and Dr. Carlton Drake has continued his human trials with the symbionts. Meanwhile, Eddie is contacted by one of Drake's fellow scientists, Dora Skirth. She is uncomfortable with the methods that Drake is implementing for his tests on human symbiosis.
I told myself that it was worth it because we were curing cancer, but now this is different. Something else.
Skirth wants Eddie's help exposing Drake and the Life Foundation's misdeeds. She helps Eddie break into the lab where he finds Maria, a homeless woman being taken advantage of by Drake for these experiments. In an attempt to save Maria, the symbiote attached to her body latches itself onto Eddie. That symbiote, of course, being Venom. Drake sends mercenaries to hunt down Eddie and return the symbiote. Eddie still doesn't know that Venom is inside of him, but he is beginning to experience the side effects of having an alien living within him. Eddie goes to Anna and her new boyfriend, Dr. Dan. They put him in an MRI machine, and it is confirmed that Eddie has been latched onto by one Venom symbiont. Eddie hears Venom's voice inside his head, but after an attack by Drake's henchmen, we see Venom take full form.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas. So many snacks, so little time.
After escaping their attackers, Venom and Eddie become properly acquainted.
I am Venom, and you are mine.
Hey, well, you're gonna have to take me to dinner first.
Venom explains to Eddie that the meteorite he and his fellow symbionts were found on were on a mission to find planets that their species could thrive on.
You gonna eat anybody else?
Most likely.
Oh, God.
That is why we are here.
Eddie learns that Venom's presence is killing him from within. He also discovers that symbionts are sensitive to high-pitched sounds. They even use an MRI machine to separate Eddie and Venom. Eddie is then captured by Drake's men.
Well, hey there, fellas.
Oh,
geez,
no.
All right. What is it? Put some clothes on, buddy. Have some self-respect.
Yeah, we've got a shirt and shoes policy here, and seeing you naked is really unsettling.
Well, I don't have any clothes. I sold everything I own to put my kids through college.
Dude, I keep telling you, you have to get a real job. Something with the future, like programming or back-end website development. You know, according to Stack Overflow, the median salary for back-end developers in the US in 2023 was over $100,000.
Oh, but I don't know anything about computers.
Actually, that's okay because you can learn programming from Boot.dev. They're our sponsor for this video. Guys, Boot.dev is essentially a programming RPG where you can earn XP, complete quests, and compete in global leaderboards. Boot.dev understands that the best way to learn code is to make sure you're never bored, so they make learning fun and competitive.
Well, I do love money, and I'm really cold right now.
Well, the platform gets your hands on the keyboard and gets you writing a ton of code right away. So if you ever wanted to learn coding, this is the best way to start because you learn best by doing. And the Boot.dev Discord community is active and there to help you if you ever get stuck. Also, if you're ever completely stuck or you just want to see how the instructor wrote the code, there are solutions available for every challenge on the site. So click the link in the description box and use my code to get 25% off your first payment of Boot.dev. That's 25% of your first month or first year, depending on the subscription that you choose.
Yeah, that Boot.dev sounds like a real good deal.
It sure is. Now, back to what I was saying. So the other symbiote is Riot. That's the one who crashed the ship and escaped at the beginning of the film. Riot has made its way from Malaysia to the States, hopping from host to host. Riot bonds with Drake, and the two agree that they will take a rocket back to the symbiote planet. There they will pick up the other symbiotes and then bring them back to Earth.
I'm coming back for you, baby. I'm coming back for you.
Venom is afraid of Riot, and he says on his planet he is regarded as
Kind of a loser, like you.
Anne and Venom then team up to free Eddie. Venom and Eddie reach an understanding, a symbiosis, if you will. Venom won't feed on Eddie from within in exchange for Eddie allowing Venom to live inside him so he can survive on Earth. And Eddie will feed Venom things like chocolate, tater tots, and bad guys. Together, Eddie and Venom take on Drake and Riot and stop the ship from leaving Earth's orbit and saving the planet from a symbiote invasion. For now, that is. We then see Eddie score an interview with deranged serial killer Cletus Cassidy.
All my secrets laid bare. So much carnage.
After a follow-up interview with Cassidy, Venom believes that he has figured out where Cassidy buried his many victims. Now, Eddie has been given special access to Cassidy by Detective Mulligan. Back in the 1990s, Cassidy and his beloved Frances Barton are separated. See, Frances has a supersonic scream that she uses to attack Officer Mulligan in the transport van. Mulligan pulls his gun and shoots Frances. Mulligan thinks he killed her, but she actually survived and was taken to a new facility. Cassidy has been sentenced to death for his many gruesome murders, and his lethal injection date is coming up soon. Cassidy invites Eddie to attend his execution.
Dearest Pally Pal, I hereby invite you to witness my demise.
Now, when Eddie and Cassidy are speaking, Cassidy insults Eddie, resulting in Venom forcing Eddie to lunge at Cassidy, and then Cassidy bites him.
Pinch my friend again like that, I dare you!
Cassidy's bite draws blood and actually transmits a piece of this Venom symbiont into Cassidy, and this is technically a Venom offspring.
I have tasted blood before, my friend, and that is not it.
When Cassidy is injected, we see the symbiote stop the lethal dose from entering his bloodstream. We then see it take over Cassidy's body, and Carnage is born.
Let there be carnage!
Meanwhile, Venom and Eddie aren't really getting along.
Because you are a reject! You are a pariah! Lethal protection my ass, you couldn't protect anything!
Venom decides to leave Eddie and goes out on his own, jumping from host to host around the city. He even makes an appearance at a club.
Diesel protector out!
Cassidy and Carnage escape from prison and make a deal with each other. Cassidy wants to free Frances, while Carnage wants to kill Venom.
I know where to find him, but first, I need you to help me find something I lost.
Mulligan informs Eddie about Cassidy's escape. Mulligan then becomes suspicious of Eddie's involvement and arrests him.
I keep thinking, what else is Eddie Brock not sharing about Cletus Cassidy?
Eddie is once again being held captive, and it's up to Anne and Venom to break him out. Anne finds Venom bonded with Mrs. Chen from the first film, and who you'll remember we also saw here in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
You're acting like weird stuff like this happens to you all the time.
Anne convinces Venom to forgive Eddie and bond with her so that they can free Eddie and then stop Carnage. After freeing Frances and burning down the old children's home they grew up in, they abduct Mulligan and Anne to lure Eddie and Venom to a cathedral where Cassidy and Frances are getting married.
That distant cathedral is all I see.
Eddie and Venom arrive at the cathedral to crash the wedding and save Anne and Mulligan. Venom is scared at first when he realizes that Carnage is a red symbiote.
This is much worse than I thought. That is a red one!
Carnage and Cassidy don't share the same simpatico style of symbiosis that Eddie and Venom do, and that's the key to how Venom and Eddie are able to overpower the might of Carnage.
You're not a match.
We are.
Cassidy and Carnage are separated by Frances using her sonic voice. Venom then eats Carnage and bites off Cassidy's head.
this guy!
Francis is crushed by the collapsing cathedral. Mulligan is revealed to have survived, but his eyes glow, setting up his return as the symbiote named Toxin. Anne is saved and returns to her fiancé Dan, who Venom of course hates.
No one likes you, Dan!
Eddie and Venom decide to go on vacation to Mexico. Venom and Eddie are now on the same page and decide they are going to pursue the hero life as the Lethal Protector.
We will need a cape and a mask.
Meanwhile, though, in another universe, Peter Parker has been revealed as Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. What the
But before we keep going, guys, I want to tell you we are going on tour. Come meet me, Colton, and the gang as we travel across the country, meeting all of you lovely people in person, answering your questions, playing games, talking about things that we can't talk about here on YouTube. Tickets are selling fast, so be sure to get yours at the link below. First show is coming up in Boston on November 14th. So, Peter Parker and his friends' lives are turned upside down upon the reveal that he is Spider-Man. Peter decides to go to Dr. Strange for help. Strange agrees to help and conjures up a spell to make the world forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Peter keeps offering addendums to the spell mid-cast, resulting in the spell breaking.
Let's not change the parameters of this spell anymore while I'm casting.
Okay, I'm done. Now, because the spell goes awry, something strange happens. Characters from throughout the multiverse who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man are then brought into this universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, by the way, remember, the Venom films do not take place in the MCU. So we see Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and some of their most lethal foes transported into the MCU because, of course, they knew that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now, right before this spell takes place, Venom reveals to Eddie that there is a symbiote hive mind of knowledge that spans across the multiverse.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
So, while this specific Venom has never encountered Spider-Man, he does share knowledge of Spider-Man from other versions of himself from throughout the multiverse, who have fought Spider-Man and know that he is Peter Parker. Venom shared that hive mind knowledge with Eddie, making it to where Eddie also knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he too gets brought into the MCU via Doctor Strange's botched spell. This scene teases a long-awaited confrontation between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Tom Hardy's Venom in Spider-Man No Way Home. But nope, it was all just a big empty tease that went nowhere. Venom and Eddie remain in a Mexico bar where they learn about the MCU.
Tell me again about your purple alien that loves stones.
And by the time they decide to track down this spider guy, the Forget Peter Parker spell from the end of No Way Home is released, a spell that makes everyone forget who Peter Parker is and sends Eddie and Venom, along with all the other villains and Spider-Man, back to their home universes.
Except for Michael Keaton's Vulture, who for some reason is kicked out of the MCU into the Sonyverse where he meets Morbius?
Yeah, it's got something to do with Spider-Man, I think.
Good one, buddy. High five. So, when Eddie and Venom are transported back home, we see there's a little piece of symbiote goo left on the bar, and it moves, implying that there is now a new symbiote in the MCU that will find its way to Spider-Man. But trailers for Last Dance do suggest that this might get reconned. We'll just have to see. So guys, that's everything you need to know before watching Venom: The Last Dance. Be sure to come back here for coverage of this movie after its release and our upcoming Venom Definitive History video, which gives you every single thing you need to know about the Venom character from page to screen. Big shout out to Colton Ogburn, the writer of this video, and don't forget, we have links to our live show and our Discord, our merch, and of course to boot.dev down in the description below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.